Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rakhma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. I'm not sure what's happening. Jeanie usually starts, and Jeanie's in another city, and so I'm hoping that she's not having technical difficulties, but it sounds like perhaps she is. So we're delighted to be here with you once again on MindShifter Radio. What is MindShifter Radio about? Well, we're here to support you. We're here to learn ourselves and support ourselves in how the ancient Aramaic process of forgiveness works. And when you look at the way the world is flowing these days, things are pretty insane, pretty bizarre. At just about every turn, we have violence, viciousness, attack, fraud, lies, deceit, just general insanity. Insanity that is not human. You know, we use the definition in this work of hold the newborn child, you know exactly what a human is. Tap into the essence of that human, and you have the essence of your life. The world specializes in making sure that you give that life up. And what we're here to do is to support you in restoring it. And of course, as we support you, we support ourselves in doing the same. So we have an ulterior motive and we have an altruistic motive. They're both there. Sometimes my ulterior motives get in my way, and I realize that's my next piece of forgiveness work, to get that out of the way, to come in total clarity and purity to the real principle behind the work of the man named Yeshua. Now, Yeshua was a teacher of physics, of physiology, of psychology, and of genetics. He was not a theological teacher, but he did teach us that we each had a source, and his whole work was about giving each person that touched his work a re-experience of their direct connection to love. If you look in the ancient teachings, we're told that God is love. If we look in the ancient teachings, we're told that we're made in the image and likeness of that love. Our essence is love, and the world works to force us to give it up. It's been working at forcing people to give it up for centuries and eons. And so as we come in that pure state of being, life brings us experiences that resonate or surface or bring up those genetic energies that tend to rob us of our human lives. And Yeshua taught a technology 2,000 years ago with such precision, such precise understanding, nothing to do with the religious manipulations that have been done in his name, but simply, folks, here's how you reclaim your human life. Here's how you have a direct experience of the human life. And the way that you do it, the primary tool, and we've got a whole series of tools that we've developed out of the Aramaic, and we present those from time to time in this show, but the primary tool that we want to offer you is the tool of forgiveness. You'll notice that the world of non-human life has turned forgiveness into some kind of a sham that tells us that somebody outside of us is responsible for what's happening inside of us, and that all we need to do is forgive them, let them off the hook, and then everything will be okay. And, of course, if I let you off the hook because of what's happening in my genetics and my physiology and my emotions, I've done nothing to change what's happening in my genetics, my physiology, or my emotions. Yeshua taught a very precise tool, a how to remove everything that could possibly take you out of your human life and how to restore yourself to human life, this awesome active presence of love. And what we're working to do is to create a world where it's safe for that human life to show up. There's a powerful song that was out a few years ago about Vincent van Gogh, and one of the lines in that song said, "And this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you." Speaking to the being that Vincent van Gogh was, I'd offer that this world was meant for one as beautiful, as powerful, and as loving as you. And it's a fraud that anything else is true. And it's a fraud that is pretty much perpetrated by every authority going because they didn't know any better. It's just simple ignorance. We've engaged in it ourselves, you and I. I know it. I know my life. I know your life. We've each engaged in it. And what we're looking to do is to clean up the mess. So we're inviting you to engage in the tool of forgiveness. And if you go to our website, www.whyagain.com, on the right-hand side you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. The first 7 links under that section will give you the whole forgiveness story. Here's how it works. Here's the scoop, folks. Here's the precise technology with which you can, if you choose to, address all of the generational issues in your bloodline, removing them one by one, moving into an accelerated pace where critical mass healing starts to happen, and you move those things out of your structure, and you return to this awesome active presence of love. When we do that, individually and collectively, we create a powerful field that is beyond what anyone has ever imagined. One of my early mentors used to say that all it would take would be 8 human beings on the planet at once to fulfill what Yeshua called critical mass. Of course, he didn't use those words. He said a little leavening leavens the whole loaf. We're here to support and assist in the creation of critical mass and to ask you to get on the team. The next time you face a rage, a grief, a hate, a vengeance, pain that's inside your body, instead of externalizing that and blaming somebody else, say to yourself, this is in my physiology, I'm feeling. And you know, we've developed this test in this work for determining whether or not something you're feeling is yours or not. Now, it's a complicated, very difficult test, but if you start to practice with it, it'll start to make sense. Here's the test. How do I tell if something that I'm feeling is mine or not? Am I feeling it? If I'm feeling it, then I know it's something that's happening in my physiology. If I choose to get done with it, I'll do it by forgiving, by removing it. When we get enough humans who do that, we're going to create a place again. We're going to restore the state that the earth was meant to be, a state for one as beautiful as you, a state for human life to show up. And that's what we're here to support you in. We're inviting you to be part of critical mass. Let's eradicate war. Let's honor those who've given their lives to the insanity of war through force, through fraud, through coercion, through brainwashing. Let's honor those people by restoring human life to earth. Let's honor their children and their children's children, their children's children, and restore them to human life. So that's what we're here to do. Let's see if Jeannie's with us. Sweetie, are you there?
I am. How are you today?
Oh, good. I'm good. How are you, sweetheart?
Okay. It's crazy. My computer was just like totally froze. I didn't have a cursor. My mouse wouldn't move. It was just like totally froze up. So I had to shut my computer down and reopen. So anyway, I am here, and David's with us already. Dr. Tim is not with us yet.
Okay. Well, let's say welcome to David. How are you this morning, sir? This afternoon, pardon me. Hello, David. Can you hear us? Okay, well, maybe David's got a bad connection. I don't know. But and I know that David's working on projects, so he's liable to have his hands in grease up to who knows where, and the phone's sitting over there listening. So David will just hold you in a blessing and say welcome to the show, and everybody at Heartland and everybody that's listening, we're delighted that you're here. One of the thoughts I had today was to, as I was kind of tapping into what to talk about today, the guidance I had was to address a word that has been so misinterpreted from the Aramaic through the Greek translations that its impact and its meaning has simply been lost. And that word is the word Tuveyhun. Now, you probably are not familiar with that word directly personally unless you've worked with the Aramaic. But what Tuveyhun is it's a word that Yeshua used several times in his first public teaching. Got to be a pretty important concept for him to have used it so many times. The Greeks translate it as, blessed are they, blessed are they, blessed are they, blessed are they. It's got nothing to do with some kind of external power that you need to kowtow to be blessed. The word Tuveyhun, such an important concept, precedes a set of instructions in each case where that word is used. And it's a three-part word in Aramaic, and here's what it says. A tuv is an attitude of mind. It is a mind structure within you. And the three-part word speaks about coming into possession of a tuv, an attitude of mind, that the Creator put in you to guide your life. Now, if you do that, you will be genius in everything you touch. There will be nothing in your world that will be disturbing to you. You know, we play the game of, oh, this makes me angry, he makes me sad, he makes me afraid, he makes me, she makes me. And the person who is in some form of pain or turmoil, when they enter into a conversation about somebody or something else, is in denial and dissociation, and they're stuck in their trauma. They're stuck in their story, and it becomes, as a songwriter friend of mine once wrote, their pain and their glory. So if you're in pain or turmoil, recognize that you're not functioning out of what God intended you to function out of. You're not functioning out of the mind structure that the Creator put in you that underlies just and fair behavior between people. A guidance system that was given to us to guide our lives totally and completely. So before each of the Beatitudes, we have this word that says, in essence, a latent neural structure. Latent, why? There's a latency here. Latent means unconscious or hidden, not available. So if you are in some form of hostility or fear, by definition, that neural structure is not active in you. And not having that neural structure active in you leaves you stuck out there on your own, trying to figure it out, trying to get it done, trying to get out of the muddle and the mess that your mind says, well, this muddle and this mess is only about this or that, and if I just fix this or that. Now, you'll notice that your muddle or your mess has been going on in your life all your life. Notice how many times you've been in that muddle and that mess. And every time your mind told you a story. Oh, this muddle is about what Charlie did. This muddle is about what Mary did. This muddle is about the lack of money in my bank account. This muddle, you notice that every time you've been in a muddle, you've been there, your muddle is about the content of your own mind. And your muddle is what makes this neural structure that was given to you to guide you unconscious. It's what hides it away from you and makes it inaccessible. Hence, the latent aspect of this set of instructions from the Aramaic. So Yeshua says you have this latent neural structure which will keep you on track. You will be genius in everything that you look at, especially and including the places where you have trauma, turmoil, and pain. If you don't have genius present in your trauma, turmoil, and pain, guess what? You're cut off from the Creator. You're out there on your own, counting on the generational tools, which usually include insanity. I'm going to fight. I'm going to kill. I'm going to, make war. I'm going to leave. I'm going to die. Whatever goes on, you're stuck with the generational solutions to your dilemma, and your dilemma becomes unsolvable. What Yeshua says is, first order business, get this neural structure active in you so that you're functioning out of the guidance system that was intended for you as a human. What an awesome gift. And so when you take that instruction and you put it to work, you will start to change the dynamics of everything in you. By focusing on and giving attention to this, which is a gift given by the Creator directly to you as a human, Now, of course, the culture is going to try to teach you, oh, look, you're just a chunk of accidental protoplasm. There's nothing to you. You're just like the cow. You just sort of happened in the whole evolutionary scheme, and oh, well, there's nothing that you have that's of any value. If you're cut off from the Creator, you believe that, and you struggle, and you strife, and you pain, and you turmoil, and you think everybody else is the problem in your life, and that the problem's outside of you. And if you could just figure it out and fix the problem outside of you, then you'd be rid of this pain. Notice how many times you've done all kinds of crazy things to try to figure out the problem and get it to change, and notice that you're still doing it. That's because that neural structure is not active. The Beatitudes give you a set of instructions for how to activate that neural structure, how to go back to the guidance system that was given to you. So Tuveyhun says, a latent neural structure becomes your conscious possession, you who, and then there's a set of instructions for how to access that neural structure and how to come into full possession of it rather than the strife, the pain, the trauma, and the insanity of the generations. So that's kind of where I'd like to start out and open our conversation and create support for each and every one of us, recognizing, because, there's this wonderful African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So we're here to invite you to come together with us and to recognize that this neural structure is in you already. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to create it yourself. You are not on your own. You absolutely have the support of the Creator. It was sown in you from the beginning. Your culture, through fear, through hostility, through telling you to proclaim yourself something that you're not, has cut you off from that. And so we're here to support you in being reconnected to that. And one of the key steps in that reconnection is to process through, to face, and to deal with everything in you that creates turmoil, pain, and trauma. But you can't process through, you can't face it while you're in denial and dissociation. What does that denial and dissociation mean? If you're in pain or turmoil and you're saying, if only you would change, if only this situation would change, if only I had this, if only I had that, then everything would be okay. Then if you could force those things to happen in your world, then you would just put off this pain or turmoil to another day and another time, and you'd be right back to square one, starting over with, oh, it's Charlie's fault, it's Harry's fault, it's Mary's fault. It's my fault. Well, guess what? It's not anybody's fault. It's just what's in there. And we're here to support you healing it. So, Jeanie, does that leave us with any callers or any questions in the chat room?
We do have a caller, area code 970. You're on the air. Hey, Jeanie and Michael. It's Carrie in Colorado.
Hey, we haven't heard your voice in a bit.
In a minute. I really love what you're sharing about today, and I had an experience over the last few days that kind of ties into that. So I just wanted to share it. And, oh, man, I went.
Cool. What happened?
I went over the weekend and visited where I had lived the last 16 years and where I had been in a 6-year relationship that came to some kind of a changing point last spring. And so I went and saw kids, grandkids, the place I had lived, and as I was driving home, I was thinking, I was really glad I was coming home to where I was, but I also was exhausted. And I thought, and what's really exciting is the woman who's the mother of the kids of this person has gotten to be a really good friend of mine, she and her husband, and they are totally into your work. And so I had loaned her the DVD, Healing Through Relationships, and she handed it to me. I went and visited her, and we hung out for a while and talked about how we're changing. And because I had that DVD in my hand, I brought it home and watched it. And the first night when I got home, I was watching it, and I'm not kidding. Every time I watch one of those videos, I literally, it isn't just go to sleep. I go so unconscious because I know I'm accessing such deep stuff. And
isn't it cool how we have the technology built in that every time you listen to it or see it, it changes?
It's amazing. And so I probably saw 15 minutes of it awake, and then about the rest of it asleep. And then,
right.
And then so the next day I got up and I did my work that I had to do in the morning, and I thought, I just feel like a noodle. I can barely function. And I thought, I've got to go back home and watch that DVD again about healing relationships and see if I can get it on a conscious level this time. And, oh, my gosh, I'm not kidding. All day yesterday I just felt like that whole process of completely, of dissolving those old neural nets and then building new ones. And, of course, I went into this old environment with a lot of new progress that I had made. And I felt really good about going there and really good about seeing everyone. And yet I know that it really... And everything you hadn't dealt with was resonated, right? What a gift. Yeah. And, oh, my gosh, it was really amazing. And so then yesterday afternoon I just curled up on the couch and watched the whole video, the whole DVD again of healing relationships. And it was so good. And I would just laugh. I finally called up the woman who's the mother of the kids and just said, oh, look, and I'm getting this and this and this. And she said, yeah. And so we were kind of having our own little group, bouncing it back and forth. But it was so profound and so deep and so powerful. And I guess I would like to hear from you how you relate that to Tuveyhun. But I think what's happening is I'm starting to let go of those old patterns that kind of drive the boat that are from generations and turn to new patterns. And going through that process is just, it's amazing.
Breathe.
How yeah.
Breathe, be with it.
It's amazing how that deep exhaustion that just comes with it, and I wanted to share that because I think it's good for people to know that you can get really tired when you're doing this work. And I know I've asked you a few times before, I'm so tired, I just don't know what to do. And so I hadn't hit this point in quite a while. And I don't know if I'd hit it. I just felt like a noodle all day yesterday. I could hardly move my body, and but it was it's such a great DVD, and it was so fun seeing Jeanie. I think you guys made that 5 or 6 years ago, so it was seeing her earlier on, and you guys look so cute together. And but it's really a great piece of work, and I just recommend it so much. But I got so much out of it, and so I'm wondering how Tuveyhun comes into that process.
Well, first of all, remember the symptoms of healing. And this is one of the reasons why most people don't want to do their work, because you've got to give yourself the space to process through what never belonged in your structure.
Right.
And so the energy that it takes, when you start undoing some of these old generational patterns, you're literally undoing huge energetic patterns within your structure. And as you undo them, it takes a lot of energy to break them down and detox them physiologically, energetically. If you're in enough willingness and the breath is moving, you will detox them energetically. If you're not in a high enough space and you're not breathing well, then you'll have to detox physiologically, which, of course, I know you already know about that, your book on superimmunity, and that the detoxing aspect is so necessary. But the energy is going to move one way or the other, and that's the whole idea of the still point breathing process, is that when you enter into still point, what happens is you move from having to take this out physically through all of the eliminative organs and deal with it that way, to where you simply move the energy through the system and heal. But when that's happening, you got to lay down and take the time and breathe. And one of the problems, probably one of the biggest things missing in our culture in terms of healing, is that we are so driven, we're so taught that we have to go, that we don't give ourselves the time to go into the healing process and to clean up what's going on inside of us. So I acknowledge you for the fact that you do that you've got the wisdom to do that. And and what moves. And my suggestion would be that you follow up right on the heels of that video and pick up the codependence to interdependence. That will take everything to still the next level. And then when you finish codependence to interdependence, and you can stay awake through that. And what is this thing about why can't I stay awake? Well, literally, when I'm moving unconsciousness, I tend to go unconscious. And so, I'll sit there. I'll oftentimes see people who come into a class and they'll be bright and cheery and chipper and strong and on it. And 5 minutes later, they're like, I can't keep my eyes open. I just can't stay awake. What's going on? What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. You're in process. And, in this work, we define process as the ability to keep love conscious, active, and present, and use that conscious, active, present love as the healer. When you expose what's less than love in you, you go into process work. And each of those videos is designed to stir and to resonate a million issues. And if you're bringing love present and you're breathing, then you're processing through those things, and it just takes time. As you clear off the overlays, and I know, we've had so many conversations over the last year since you really tapped in and started doing the work again, you're literally uncovering. With each piece that you uncover, you're uncovering that which makes your structure latent, this neural structure that the Creator put in you, a latent neural structure. It's the physiological capacity. If you go to the worksheet, the step that says, I asked to have my ability to experience this frequency, this energy, which relates back to number 1C, the feeling. I asked to have that removed because it's the rage, the grief, the pain, the fear, the terror, the trauma that keeps the guidance system the Creator put in you unconscious. It keeps it latent. And so as you process through those layers, as you peel those layers out, another little piece of the guidance system becomes yours. Another piece of the guidance system becomes yours. Another piece of the guidance system, and you'll find yourself with new intelligence, new capability, new energy, new aliveness. And it's not until you have totally cleared out the garbage from the generations. How long does that take? Well, I don't know, but they said to Yeshua, how many of these worksheets do we have to do? Is 7 enough? And his answer in Aramaic was, no, 77 times 70. When you add a 0 to a number scripturally, that's infinity, and 7's the number of completion. You'll know you're complete when no matter what you're facing, you face what the non-human world would say is the most terrible, horrible, awful trauma in the world, and that neural structure is active in you that the Creator put in you, and you will know exactly what to do, and you will literally, physiologically step into human life and eternal life. You look at Yeshua. Yeshua steps out of the Garden of Gethsemane. He's there playing out the world myth. The good guy kills the bad guy and is the hero. Of course, Yeshua is the good guy. Now, he's just gone into the garden saying, Father, I know you told me that I could lay my life down and pick it back up again, but I'm not sure I'm ready for this. Can this cup pass from me? In other words, do I really have to do this in my real life? Can't we just get theological and heady about this? And obviously he's given the guidance that he can. And so he's processing things that are huge. When you process things that are huge, as a naturopath, I know that the way that energy goes into the system, it has to come back out again. And so on the way back out, it looks just like it looked on the way in. If you were going to do a huge emergency detox process, what would it likely look like? It would probably look like sweating blood, which we're told is exactly what he did. Now, you'll notice that when he goes into the garden, he's taking his support team. He's saying to the guys, look, guys, you've been studying with me for 3 years full time. You've been in my presence, getting what I know and what I understand for 3 years. So I'm bringing you to hold the active love present because I've got a whole other level of my work to do. He gets in there and he taps into their energy and they're gone. He goes back out. He says, can't you guys stay awake for just a lousy hour? No, they have not processed the depth of pain and suffering that he is moving through his structure so that he can be the presence of love for the ultimate world myth. He says, can't you guys stay awake an hour? No, they can't. You can't stay awake. You can't process what you are not yet willing to work through or what is a higher level of trauma than the level of vitality you have to handle it. You can't access things you don't have the vitality to handle.
That really makes sense.
So he goes through that detox. He comes out, and now we have the structure, the setup for the world myth. Here's the bad guy, the high priest servant. Here's the good guy, Yeshua. And here's the guy that's going to be the hero, the one who said, hey, how many swords should we bring? Peter. And as the high priest servant comes after Yeshua, Peter goes to take off his head. You know, I could imagine at that moment that Yeshua might have given him a look. It's Peter. We're not here for violence. We're not here for viciousness. We're not here for vengeance. We're not here to kill. We're here to bring human life. And so he, instead of doing what non-human life would do with the high priest servant who's going to have him mercilessly slaughtered, he simply steps forward. He stops Peter in his attack. He steps forward, and he heals the man who's going to have him slaughtered. Now, I've had people who said to me, well, Michael, you know, that sounds pretty dumb because have you noticed that got him dead? And my feedback is, yes, I noticed that got him dead. Have you noticed they couldn't keep him that way? I'd offer that's the sole message he came to bring us. He did not come to bring us a story about the power of blood sacrifice and wash yourself in suffering and pain and trauma. He came to show us the power of a human life, the power of this awesome active presence of love that has no attack in it and functions totally out of its connection to source, which is through this neural structure that was put into it. Do you think the Creator has anybody in mind that the Creator wants you to slaughter? Excuse me, that's totally out of harmony with life. It's totally out of harmony with love. What the Creator wants is for us to function as we were designed to function, would be my offering. And Yeshua demonstrated it, and even though they shredded him, his body, they couldn't touch his being. And he did not voluntarily or involuntarily give up his being, and therefore, in 3 days, he rebuilt his destroyed structure. That's the power that you and I have. He says, the things I do, you too can do, and greater. It was interesting. I was talking to a fellow yesterday here who came down, a fellow who, Terry Livingood, who wrote the book, The Bible for Translation, that we carry in our tape table. And he was sharing with me his brother is a preacher who's written 50 books. And in one of the books, I forget exactly the title, but it was something like, you know, the uniqueness of Yeshua. He uses the term Jesus, the Greek, Zeus idea. But it's the uniqueness of him. And Terry was reading his book, and he's like, he really said it was really powerful, it was really neat. But there was one, and he put just about every word that Yeshua ever spoke in it, except for one phrase. And he went to his brother and he said, how come this quote isn't in there? And it's a quote that says, the things I do, you can do, and greater things. He said, why isn't that there? And his brother, just as nonchalantly he shared with me, says, that doesn't fit. In other words, I have a theology, and being on the same level, believing the actual teachings of the man doesn't fit in my theology. There are parts of it I reject and throw out, and that was one of them. And he was like, you know, it was just like he couldn't believe his ears, and he said there was just nothing to say to his brother because that fear-based theology is where his brother lives. And one that upholds the power of your and my human life and how we are capable of living in concert with the active presence of love in us doesn't fit with that theology. And what we're here to support is so much human life showing up on the earth, so much of this active presence of love that all that occurs is healing everywhere that this human life turns. that we eradicate the hostility, the rage, the grief, the pain, the trauma that has gone on for 1,000 generations in each of our bloodlines, that we literally allow those things to surface and bring forward the truth of who we are, this awesome active presence of love. So that's where we be.
That's awesome, Michael. I really appreciate that. Boy, great teachings. I wanted to say, too, that I let this guy go who'd been doing web work for me last week, and when I did, he was very nice about it, but he also made some threats. He said, if anybody takes the name of my company off the bottom of what I built for you, I will come and destroy whatever they made. And I was just kind of in shock, and I've kind of been just breathing with that and asking myself, okay, should I just let go of all this work that I've just paid for the last month and a half, or should I, I didn't even have an answer, but today, as I've been clearing other levels, and they're all kind of related, I thought to myself, I'm going to call that guy up and just say, I would like to keep using this work that you built for me, but I felt you were a little bit on the threatening side. And what I'd like to do is, do we have an agreement that, I won't even say that in the very beginning, but this is his power person thing that he just acts out constantly. And I'm sure he must have had a really threatening father. So, and he actually really liked me. I mean, I don't know that he saw me as somebody that he disliked. It's just that this is his behavior of how he deals with life. And so I thought, I'm going to just say, I would like to feel like I can use these themes that you created for me, and can we have like a written agreement that says, that I have the right to go ahead and use them, because I felt like when we had closure, it was a little threatening towards what I ever would do. I think I actually could say that to him at this point, and last week I couldn't have.
Right. Well, my thought would be that you might want to simply start off with a simple, maybe non-personal, so that he's got time to think about his response rather than go into his power person mode, because obviously the whole thought of somebody else having this is threatening to him and creates stress. It violates some of his goals. But maybe just a simple note and letter saying, I just want to be clear that these materials that I paid for are my materials. I paid for them, and they are mine, and I'm going to, as I can afford to, I'm going to continue to build on these materials.
Right.
And I just simply start with that, and that may bring up his stress to the max. And it sounds like perhaps if he has a little time to think about it rather than in a one-on-one conversation, he might be restored to saying and go, oh, that's right, you did pay for this. This is yours. Of course, it's your business what you do with it.
That's a really good suggestion, because I've been kind of just asking myself, how do I, without threatening him in any way, but how do I get clarity? And then if I do it through email and then he writes me back, at least I've got a written form of his response.
Exactly.
I think it's a really good suggestion.
And you might do a word or two on being threatened with the fact that, you have the nationality background that you have and the male dominance thing there. You might just do a few worksheets in advance and do a little breathing around being threatened by men, and know that, and in fact, a good mind shifter to work with might be all of the men in my life support and nurture me in my power and my choices, in my power and my choices. Now, I'm sure there are no other women that are listening that would be useful to, but all of the men in my life.
Awesome.
And, if there's somebody particular, in this case, him, all of the men in my life, especially, and, if you're working on a dad issue, you could put especially dad in there, especially, brother, especially former spouse or present spouse or whatever. Support me in my power and the choices I make in my life.
Nice. And I feel so much closer to that this week than I did last week. I processed so many layers. I'm sure there's more in there, but really a wonderful feeling to start being free from some of that.
Fabulous. Well, we invite you, or we support you in being able to live in that tuve that the Creator planted in you from the beginning, that the world works to pound out of you so that it can control you, and that you be restored fully to that. And as you are, you open the space for all of us on a new level, which is cool.
Yep. I'm really looking forward to being at the intensive in a couple weeks and deepening my kind of connection to doing the breathing work, because I think that'll be good to bring home with me and feel really comfortable doing that on my own too.
Fabulous. Well, we'll look forward to you being there.
Okay.
Now, I understand that you're going to arrive a day early. Is that true?
Yes, if that works
for the intensive. Let me just throw out one other thought, because as it's going right now, I'm planning to do a breath session the last day of the Food, Fun, Forgiveness, and Work process. So if you can show up 2 days early, you could start out and catch that breath session in the evening. You know, if you just show up, say, in time for dinner, then I'm planning to do some breathing afterwards. So you'd start off before we even go into the 9-day with the breath session, which would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. Okay, great. I'll look on the calendar and see how it works out. Thanks, and you guys have an awesome day, and we'll see you soon.
It's in the plan. Blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Jeanie, do we have any other callers? Anything happening in the chat room? Our calling number, by the way, is 646-200-4169. If you have a question for Jeanie or I or David or, I don't know, is Dr. Tim with us yet, sweetie?
Dr. Tim is not with us, and we do have a caller, area code 312. You're on the air.
312 sounds like Chicago.
It sounds like Ari.
Oh, Ari, how are you, sir?
I was waiting in the other queue, and then I thought, yeah, I thought, well, I'll push the button and I'll go in the other queue. Maybe that'll be a better place to wait.
There you go. Well, welcome. For those who don't know who Chef Ari is, Ari will be the one who's going to do this awesome food program that we're going to start on Thursday in Food, Fun, Forgiveness, and Work Project at Heartland. And so what's on your mind, Ari? How do you be?
I'd be good. I'm just trying to get, do the last-minute things you need to do when you leave a place for a couple of weeks and that kind of thing.
Cool.
So,
I had left you a message yesterday, and actually there's a piece of information to add to it, and that is that the Heartland crew is going up to Springfield on Wednesday, and they're going to do, the grocery shopping and such, and then share a meal and do a movie. So if you get there in time to join them, that would be cool.
Okay. Well, actually, the plans are back to the original, because what I thought I could get done, I didn't get done. So I am coming down on Thursday. I'll leave, at my normal 4 o'clock in the morning and arrive, do that thing. So I'll be getting there on Thursday as the original plan, not the day earlier that I was trying for. So it won't be in Springfield. But I picked the perfect time, because I'll give them I'll call over there and give them the revised, just a couple extra item lists of spices and stuff like that they could pick up at, I don't know if it's called Mama Jean's. Is it called Mama Jean's in?
Mama Jean.
Okay.
Yeah, Mama Jean.
Mama Jean, and just a couple of items that they can pick up at any super Walmart, which I'm sure there
Fabulous.
is one around there. Yeah, and I just called to say how much I was looking forward to it, and, I'm all set for the Thursday, like I said, is definite. That was the original plan, and then when I tried to make it earlier, just things didn't move. You know how sometimes you hope things move the way they will.
I understand.
They didn't. So I'll be there Thursday for sure. And like I said,
you're going to get cool. You're going to get the olive oil for doing the things like the egg rolls.
Well, I'm going to have them. I actually checked around, and Walmart carries the plain olive oil in the jugs, which is the best, not the extra virgin, just their plain olive oil. They're probably the best priced by far, and that is one of the best oils to fry in. The Greeks have been using it for thousands of years. What it is it's the flash point's so much higher because the first thing that comes off in a cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil is the milk and the most gentlest and most refined oil. And then they have
the volatiles.
What?
The volatiles that burn off at higher temperatures that also tend to flame. Tend
to smoke, and tend to be carcinogenic. The best oil to use by far in raw or not by far, but I mean for raw cooking, it's the best. But when they don't waste all those seeds. What they do is they apply a little bit of heat to them and crack them and give them the second pressing. And that seed oil combined with the other oil is a very, very excellent oil to fry in, rarely smokes. Most Greek restaurants, if you've ever had Greek fries, that's what they use. People don't use it. They like to use peanut oil and the other oils because those are actually, or corn oil because they're much, much cheaper. But corn oil has a lot of sweetness and, again, burns off and smokes at a much lower temperature.
Lower temperature, right. Cool, well.
So I'll give them that. I'll call over to Heartland next. I just thought if there's any last-minute questions or requests or anything, I should pop into the show, say hi to everyone, tell them how much I'm looking forward to it, and just say greetings. And do you have any last-minute stuff?
Fabulous. Well, anybody who's on the show, 646-200-4169, if you have a question for Ari, this is the time to do it.
And
I'm thinking, Ari, maybe from Heartland, maybe a couple of the days when we're doing the show, although it would maybe interfere with food time, we might be able to do the show from the kitchen, and we can talk a little bit about what we're doing so that people will get a taste of what's happening from a distance.
That's an interesting idea. I'm not sure logistically how we do it, and like I said, time-wise, we'd have to readjust timing, but I'm sure that could be, we could work that in. We would just have to reschedule a couple of things.
Yeah, or maybe a day or two we could do that. That'd be cool. So does anyone have any questions?
We do have we have 3 callers. I'm not sure if they're for Ari, so Ari, if you'll hang on, we'll see.
Okay,
First
sure.
one's area code 954. You're on the air.
Hi, this is Lois.
Hi, Lois. Welcome, young lady.
Thank you. What a fascinating conversation, as was yesterday's. I was in such awe of Maria and the courage and the skill and just the compassion that she had for the woman that she was talking about in her support group.
Right.
And it was just such a beautiful experience to be able to participate with that. I don't want to take a lot of time because I know people probably want to talk with Ari. I just wanted to make a quick announcement to the people that might be in my local area, which is Pompano Beach. My support group is starting tonight, first night, and I just wanted to remind people who might be interested, it's 7 p.m., and the information is on the website.
Very cool. Well, we'll look forward to hearing reports on how that goes. And I don't know if you've communicated with Michael and Margaret or not, but while they're coming up to Heartland for the month, and their support group's going to kind of be on hold. So you might want to just, if you haven't notified them, chat with them, and maybe they could let everybody that usually goes to their support group to come to yours. Awesome. Good. Cool.
I did that already, and I'm really looking forward to it all. And I don't know if Jeanie read the letter that I sent last week, but I've just been having these experiences waking me up from sleep and watching myself process all of what I've learned.
I love it.
Through working with you into the 30-odd years of trainings and experiences, beginning in the human potential movement of my youth, and incorporating it all into my unique way of presenting the forgiveness work tonight, and I'm really excited about that.
Fabulous. Well, we look forward to hearing your call tomorrow and sharing with us how it goes.
It'll probably be on Thursday, and
okay.
I will do it. Tomorrow's booked.
Fabulous. All right. Bless you.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care. Okay, bye-bye. Very cool. So Lois is in Pompano Beach, Florida. Anybody who's in that arena, anywhere from Lauderdale up to Del Rey, might want to check out whyagain.com under support groups and get the location for the support group that is happening in Pompano tonight. Jeanie, we've got another caller. Is your mute button on, sweetie?
She said there were two more.
Yes.
Hello.
Jeanie? Hello, Jeanie. We probably got some technical difficulties again.
Probably reboot time.
Can you hear me, Michael?
Hello. We can hear you.
There. Hey, it's Rex.
Oh. Hey, Rex, welcome. Rex from Lansing, Michigan. How do you be, sir?
I'm doing well. She must have unmuted me and put me in the queue and lost her connection temporarily.
Okay, well.
Interesting. So I wanted to say two things. One, we are having our support group tonight in Lansing, Michigan at our home, and they can check the website, either your website or ours, for the location. And also, I wanted to ask Ari, the last couple of times he's been on the phone, I wanted to ask him around the program, I wanted to ask him about the kale recipe. I have an abundance of kale coming in my garden, the leafy kale, and also, what's the other one? It's kind of like an alligator. It's not alligator. What's the term?
Is it the baby kale or the Chinese kale?
Chinese kale, probably similar to that, yes.
Okay.
And so I was hoping that you may have some information you give me, and I heard you talking about it last time, but you didn't give the whole recipe, and I wondered if that was possible, or how would I go about getting that in a way that would be practical for you?
Well, I think the whole standard recipe is something that's wasn't that put out as a permanent thing on the website, just that one recipe, because people liked it so much?
I think it is on whyagain.com, yes.
Oh, cool.
I think so.
Well, I can just get it there.
Yeah, that's for the regular kale. And if you have an overabundance and you want to do a little cooked food with it, if you give the leaves, either you marinate them first, and then you can roll them and freeze them and roll them up with nuts and, if you want, rice and whatever you want, like a stuffed cabbage.
Mm.
And then do stuffed kale, which is delicious, in a sheet pan. You can, pack them 4 to 6. Put your favorite sauce on top, which I would do a honey miso glaze, and do it with Chinese herbs inside, especially the Asian cabbage. That Asian kale, it rolls very nice, and it has kind of a sweet and bitter. So you can do like a sweet and sour stuffed kale, and it freezes great. Once you roll it, it'll freeze great. You just pop it out, put it in the oven, 350. It's already sauced and everything, and you have yourself a great meal. And it'll hold about 8 months.
Wonderful. Wonderful idea. Cool. Yeah, because I put it in my soups and do different things with it, but this is different. What are you using as a marination? What are you marinating it with?
Well, that's going to be in the website, but basically it is and you must get unpasteurized miso, so the enzymes are still alive to break it down. A lot of people buy the miso that you make soup with, and that won't do anything. That's just like pouring water on something. So usually I use the white mellow miso because it's got a very light taste, and it's fermented rice and barley, so you get a little almost barley malt taste to it, and then along with fresh ginger, lemon juice, and then I let that sit, and then I'll make a sauce for it. And in your case, you're probably going to, like I said, depending on what you want, you can do it with a cashew ginger sauce and freeze it. And like I said, it comes out great. And when you start with raw cashews and you grind them and then you put them in the oven and slow roast them and they bubble in the broth, you get actually this kind of a roasted cashew ginger sauce, which along with the rice and shiitake mushrooms and whatever else you choose to put inside, red peppers, I like a little wasabi powder in there. You'll have a fabulous, and like I said, it's sustainable. And
you realize I haven't had lunch yet, Ari.
Nor have I.
I should call in before lunch, maybe.
That sounds awesome. And Rex, Rex, knowing that you're going to arrive at Heartland on the 21st, if you still have an abundance of kale, pack a cooler, bring it along. We'll definitely put it to work.
Yeah, and of course there is soups. The other thing is if you're storing massive amounts of fresh kale, people make a mistake of they freeze the kale by itself, and then it turns brown and ugly.
Right.
if you actually compress it and just put it in plain water with a touch of vitamin C or citric acid or squirt of lemon, whatever you want to use, and freeze it in a brick, the actual ice protects the leaf. So you're actually freezing it as like a brick. You take a big plastic Tupperware, fill it, and smush it in as hard as you can.
Sure.
Fill it full of water and freeze it in the water so the leaves won't oxidize or freezer burn, because crystals can't form on the leaves. It actually forms a airtight block around your kale and keeps it really fresh in the freezer.
Excellent idea. Perfect.
So, yeah,
awesome.
these are all little tips that we kind of will stick in. As Michael knows, when I'm in the kitchen from time to time, people are listening, I just start going, and I don't even understand it myself.
Well, I hope you're
Well, you know, Ari, you've just given people a taste of what's going to start to happen on Thursday with Food Fund Forgiveness and the Work Project at Heartland. And as anybody who's listening notices, Ari is this encyclopedia of food with so many of these kinds of things. And in the kitchen, it's just nonstop. People sit there with their notebooks and just write and write and write. And actually, Magda is going to bring a recorder, and she's going to transcribe some of this stuff, too. So, say again?
Magda is coming.
Magda, yes.
Yeah, no, she's definitely coming. I didn't talk to her after I talked to you. That's why I didn't know that was on.
Yeah, I talked to her, and she's planning on bringing a recorder to record the conversations and the tips, and maybe even video them. So it'll be interesting. If somebody isn't there live, we may be able to provide some of that material afterward. We'll just have to see how it comes together. But, definitely going to be much better if you catch it live. And folks, if you haven't looked at what we're doing, you can take a look at our website and the flyers there. But Food Fund Forgiveness and Work Project is it's kind of an economy program at Heartland. It's a 10-day thing that'll start on Thursday. Although if you need to, you could show up a little later too. And the whole 10 days for everything, for this awesome food that Ari's talking about, and learning how to get your hands into it and produce it, prepare it, the food, the accommodations. In the evenings, we'll be doing workshops. During the day, we'll be doing work projects on the property. That's why it's an economy program. The whole 10 days is $750. So if you want to come and play, just touch in, either email me or call, and we'll look forward to hearing your sweet voice and seeing you at Heartland very soon.
Wonderful. I also, Ari, my vote, Ari?
Yeah, Ari.
My vote is for you to stay for the 9-day intensive right after the Food Fund and Forgiveness. So I'm placing a very large vote. I'm only 135 pounds, but that's about as big as a vote I can get, So at any rate, we'd love to have you join us, and I would love to meet you. So that was just, I'm going to sign off. I know you're winding down on the program, and I'll leave it to you guys. So God bless. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and Rex, if it works out and you want to show up a day or two early, just let us know, and that'll be fine too.
Wonderful. That's a very big inclination, because I did hear that as you were sharing with Julie, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, well, we're going to be doing.
And the last thing,
I would say
the last thing to note is we'll probably end the Food Fund and Forgiveness with a Thanksgiving feast with just all sorts of fantastic stuff as a send-off.
Oh my! You keep talking. We'll be there a week or.
We'll have just pots and pots and dessert and you name it. It's going to be like a true food fest.
Oh, wait till you see the fruit pies that Ari does. They're awesome.
Awesome. Amazing.
Well, we're down just a few seconds, so we're going to close out the show. Check out whyagain.com for the schedule for this summer 9-day or 10-day Food Fund Forgiveness, followed by a 9-day Why Intensive, then a 9-day teacher training. We'll be back on the road. If you're in Birmingham, Alabama, come join us for the next through Friday night, free series of workshops at Unity of Birmingham. And Saturday we'll be doing MindShifters and Still Point Breathing. We hold a space for you to create the best year yet of your eternal life, and that's what we're here to support you in. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.